It hasn't even been a few days since the Fed said we might need to cut interest rates, that articles like this are coming out that are telling us that this hasn't come soon enough yet. Where were you guys 4 months ago, 5 months ago, 6 months ago? You were saying that the economy is great, and now your analysts are starting to predict a recession is coming in the US, and few rate cuts won't prevent it, says strategists. So these are people actually at these news agencies actually talking about, oh, this ain't gonna save us from a recession. Where were you guys 6 months ago? So here we go. A few rate cuts aren't going to prevent the recessions. Average recessions is 10 months. It takes something like a year before Fed cuts actually start to give a boost in the economy, he said. The market believes that the Fed fund rate at the end of next year will be 3%. Right now it's at 5.3. Oh my goodness. You guys are late to the party like always, and I don't know if this is done on purpose or out of incompetence. You guys let me know, but I have my opinion, and it is not that they did it because they were not wanting to do it. Okay, so for all these people, the naysayers, and saying, we haven't been in a recession, there is none, we're going to go over a few key points how you can identify a recession without them actually coming out and saying it. Because once they're saying it, we're probably already out of it. So here we go. The first step is, for a recession, a rise in unemployment. Companies are laying off workers. That can be a huge sign, right? And we saw that. So we can check that off the box, and we know all these tech companies, and that's going to result into even more companies doing layoffs. So that is one sign, right? Decreasing retail sales. People buy less means less income for companies, leading to layoffs. We saw that with McDonald's, that McDonald's couldn't get people into their $5 value meal. We're seeing that, more bankruptcies are happening in the food industry. We're seeing that mom and pop shops are going out of business. We're seeing that Subway now has a $6.99 foot long sandwich again because they need to get people in the door and they're not spending, right? So we can check that off. Falling industry production. In factories make less, it success less demand for goods. So I can check that off the box too, because I have a lot of you guys as my viewers in my comment section telling me that their factory workers and they're being let go. I even had comments saying that you guys were training your replacements with interns, and as such a disgrace, right? So this one, we're not there yet, right? With negative GDP growth. So 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth, but we're not there yet, right? So stock market decline. That's also another indicator. Significant stock market decline can freak out the market, and that will result into recession, right? Housing market slowdown. Falling home prices and fewer sales can signal a recession. And depending on where you're at in the United States, there are microeconomics that actually will boost or create a housing market, right? Recession. Because depending on where you live, depending on the circumstances, flood insurance, high insurance prices, high competitiveness, days on market, all these have a factor in, is there going to be a housing market recession in the area, right? Consumer confidence, right? If people feel less secure about their financial future, they spend less. I'm in one of that, and I would agree with that. I know a lot of people are saying that, hey, we're not making enough. And, before I was doing great, now I don't. And I've seen a lot of people actually go out and watch, what they're spending on and seeing them at the grocery store rather than going out, because consumer confidence is low, that they might not be able to go on these big trips, that they might not be able to, travel because their credit card at one point is going to be maxed out, and they don't want to get to that, and they don't want to pay 29% interest, right? So credit tightening. Banks become more cautious about lending, making it harder for businesses and individuals to borrow money, right? This time I caught this tree. Last time it poked me. So that is a whole nother thing that, credit is tightened, credit is hard to come by, and, getting a new credit card is harder when you're already in distress. And one thing I've learned over the past few years living in the United States. I've been here now for about 8 years. And one thing I've noticed is when you don't need money, everybody's willing to give you money. Banks, credit institutions. But when you need money, nobody's willing to give you. So you need to take it when they're giving it. And, and because when you're not going to need it, they're going to give it to you. But when you're going to need it, nobody's going to give it to you. So now we talked about all these things, right? Now let's talk about how you protect yourself. Because a lot of people have been saying, oh, what should I do? What should I do? And here are some common steps that I'm taking that you need to see if that's something that you want to do, because I think that that is highly, highly recommended with these times that who knows how uncertain they are and how long this is going to last, right? Because as you've seen in the article before, that it might take 10 months for these rate cuts to start taking effect and companies might hire again. So let's start. The first one is like Dave Ramsey's number one thing: build an emergency fund. Aim for 3 to 6 months. And I would agree. Everybody kind of needs an emergency fund. And you can have it in stocks, you could have it in, in whatever you want, but it needs to be semi-liquid. And I'm not talking about a house, because a house is not liquid. But if you have stocks, you can sell them and you can cash out in them, but you just need stuff that you can liquidate in a matter of days and not months, right? And that you can get some decent money for. Because one thing I've also learned, and I'm going to share with you guys, is when you need to sell something, you never get top dollars for it. If you can sell something because people want it, you should sell it, because then you get top dollars for it, right? So that was step number one: reduce debt. Pay off high interest debt like credit cards. And I am telling you guys, there are so many people that have credit card debt that is out of this world, and they're paying 29% interest. And it depends, if you're a business owner, you can kind of do that. And me as a business owner, I actually had credit card balances because, couldn't pay it off this month because I was waiting on money to come in from my customers or whatnot. And then I charged them a late fee. So kind of offset it a little bit, but to keep my cash situation, to keep my cash flow protected and to keep the money coming in, I carried a balance, because in business there's uncertainty, and to postpone that, I just thought it was worth it. Could I've saved a few bucks with paying it off? Yes, but you just never know. And for a personal for an individual, pay off your debt, right? Live below your means. And I feel like this is a huge thing in the United States, where we are like, we get a pay raise and then we go out and get a new car, and we go get a bigger apartment, and we get $1,000 iPhone, and we upgrade this, we upgrade that. And I'm also part of that. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, I'm making so much more money now, but I'm actually still living paycheck to paycheck. And once you're in it, you're like, wow, you need some really self-awareness, because not everything is going to be so cut and dry where you can actually see it. Because when you're in it, you're like, oh man, getting a nicer house over there would be so great. I just got a 10-20% raise, so let me go and purchase that house. And what that's going to result into is that it's going to cost you more. So good instances myself. So I had a townhouse in California that I bought, and I moved to this house in Las Vegas, and I've decreased my cost of living with property taxes, with insurance, and all that by about $600, while I tripled my living space with a pool and all that. And it was, and I paid $3,300 in my townhouse compared to now where I pay about $3,400. And it sold for about the same price as I bought my new one, right for around almost $1 million. So now I'm looking at it like, okay, and what is crazy and people don't think about, big houses, stuff breaks. And if you have a bigger house, more stuff breaks. You need lights replaced. I had to do that. My filter basket, not the filter basket, but the outdoor clamp for the filter pump broke. And I had to get that from Pentair, $500 there. And so I'm telling you guys, if you increase your lifestyle, you're going to have to increase your budget. And that is why even if I'd made a lot more money, I wouldn't move again, because it would just cost me so much. And then you know, then I'd be paycheck to paycheck. So when I moved here, I've made more money and it's okay now. And I'm not living paycheck to paycheck. But if I'd upgrade now to a $2 million house, I'd be living paycheck to paycheck, right? So that is below that live below your means. And I feel like another thing is when people say, "Oh, you drive a Ford Mustang, you're a Ford driver." Yeah, because I don't want to pay for a Mercedes or some other high-end flashy car because it sits most of the time. One of the ways how I look at it is that car sits 95% of the time. It just sits there. You drive it from point A to point B, and then it just sits there. And then you drive it back. And so a nicer car means more expensiveness, right? Or if that's even a word. But it's going to be more expensive. You need higher insurance, you need all these other ones. And so once you get into these luxury brands, then you're going to have to pay more in maintenance and the costs just keep going up and up. So my Mustang, that's another example. I bought it with like 400 miles. I bought it 4 or 5 years ago, 3 years ago. And now the new one has 40 horsepower more. And people telling me all the time, go and upgrade it, go and upgrade it. It's like, no, it's not worth it because I'm not getting that much more out of it than I already am. And it's just sitting there. So why would I pay the higher premium for it while I don't get a lot more out of it than just having the prestige of it? So live below your means, right? And my other one, a Polestar, not the fanciest electric car that I can, with solar panels on my roof, so I can almost drive around at almost no cost, right? Then diversify your income, explore freelancing and part-time work. And that's exactly what I've been telling you guys. If you are a mechanic, you should 100% see if there's an option for you to pick up some gig work on the side. Hey, my neighbor needs some work done on his car. Hey, I'll do it. Give me some money. And you start doing that, in the afternoon and nighttime on weekends to supplement your income. Then you buy tools and you do that. And at one point you're like, man, I'm making so much money. Maybe I want to be a freelance mechanic, and you start your own gig and you start off with being a mobile repair shop, and then you're starting to, get a space, you lease something, and you start doing that. And then that's how you become a business owner and diversify your income, right? So, and then you start investing into stocks with dividends and real estate and all this kind of other stuff. And then all of a sudden the wealth starts coming in because you now have diversified your income, right? Invest wisely. Long-term investments can weather economic downturns. Yes, invest in stuff that is gonna increase over time, like real estate, stocks, ETFs, all these bonds, that have a good trajectory and have a good past record, so you can then, you know, out outpace inflation and grow at a pretty decent rate, right? So upgrade your skills, stay competitive, and the job market by learning new skills. Go to trade shows, go to conventions, see if your company would pay for you to learn new stuff, to be competitive, to be an achiever. And I'm not meaning like, oh, you're gonna take this class and all these things. And I'm not gonna do that because my company's not gonna pay for it. Well, this company might not, but these new skill sets will get you another job at another company with a pay raise. And some people say, oh, it's not going to benefit me at all. Well, if layoffs are around and you just got this new skill, they might say, hey, we're trying to invest in that, but Bill just got this new certification, so we might want to not fire him because he just got this new certification so he can work on this new project. These are all possibilities, right? And now, this is what I keep stressing. And in every video, I seem like a broken record. Network. Maintain professional relationship and stay informed about opportunities. And one of the things that people always forget is your network is your net worth. If you have a bunch of high clients in your net worth and a bunch of people always telling you, come work for me, come work for me. If there are layoffs in the air at your company and you can start, putting out your your resume, and you can, just starting to be like, hey, who's hiring in my field? And then you get 1 or 2 offers, then all of a sudden you're like, hey, I don't need to keep working for you, your current employer, because I have other job offers now, and so I am done. And I had a conversation with somebody that is so amazing that they actually got their company to actually sign a waiver that their side gig has priority over the company that they're working for, and that they can actually go do side gig or work on the side while they're still working at their 9 to 5. And they actually got a legal waiver that she can actually go to another company or work on her side hustle while she's actively on her 9 to 5. And I'm telling you, you just gotta increase your skills and gain valuable market insights and be a contributor, be a super contributor, right? And I'm not saying that you need to do that with staying from 6 to 8 o'clock at night. You just need to be super knowledgeable, super good to work with, and not be an asshole. Because sometimes people leave me comments and then they're like, well, hey, companies, do all this and that. And it's like, if you're already coming over to me in the comment section like that, then your employer probably gets the same feeling from you as I do. And I was like, man, I wouldn't want to work for you, or I wouldn't want to work with you. And then when there's layoffs and you got to submit, your manager's got to submit a roster with the names and how valuable and how likely they work with them, who do you think they're going to pick? Are they going to pick Bill that's taken all these certifications, that's good to work with, or are they going to pick somebody that's, that's grumpy all the time and, complains about everything? Who do you think they're going to let go? So you got to be aware of all these situations, right? And sometimes, tragedy just happens where they let whole departments go. And then, you just got to pick yourself up, start networking, and do the right thing. And start finding another job. Because even Allie got, blindsided when she was on vacation in Switzerland with my family. We visited family, and she got a call from her boss, and her boss said, hey, they let us all go. They're closing down the company, and so they're letting us all go. So brutal, but hey, this is just the name of the game. And when you're in it right now, it's the worst time. But over time, you're like, hey, we're just gonna, ride this out. And then looking back 5-6 years, it's not gonna be so bad as it is today. If you lose everything, then it wasn't a good situation, and you gotta reflect on why. And it wasn't just gonna be because you lost your job. Then you either lived above your means, you did stuff and all these things. And I'm not trying to hate on you about it. I'm just saying that you need to protect your asset, and you need to protect your house, you need to protect your finances. And so then not say, oh, I couldn't get another job, I couldn't do this. Then you just didn't use the right techniques to apply. And you didn't use the right, the right way of how to do it, how to network. And then, tragedy happens. Hope that's not you. Let me know what you guys think about all this. I really appreciate you guys like a lot. So if you haven't followed me on LinkedIn, we should network anyways, right? And like and subscribe. Let me know what you think about all this. And gorgeous day out. Gorgeous day out. And yeah, this is absolutely great. Living in Las Vegas, nice sunshine. It's getting a little chillier, so don't like that too much. But hey, I appreciate you guys. If you want to shoot me an email with any questions or something, or you have an article you want to send me, go into the about section of my profile. And this is it for this video.